Hey everyone, future Adam here. I just want to point out at the beginning of this that something happened and Rick's audio unfortunately did not record. So there's going to be a lot of awkward pauses where he was speaking. Thankfully, I do most of the talking through this, but there was definitely some banter between us. I'll try and either put up some subtitles on the screen to just kind of explain what we were talking about, or I'll jump in with another voice recording from future me to kind of help fill the gaps a little bit. Sorry for the inconvenience, but it's really all about the slides. So,
Moral support too. Alrighty. Welcome everyone to the League of Degenerates 2021/2022 award show. We're gonna get right into it here. First, gotta start off with the league champion. Unfortunately, Mr. Robert Wash. Football season is over, and it sure is now. Taking home the championship with a 12-2 regular season record. I don't think that this was an incredible surprise to everyone. Um, Draft day was really great for Rob, and he kind of just carried the momentum throughout the entire season. So obviously, got to give you a congratulations again. You could argue both ways, I'll say. On to the next one. First loser, which we know is second place, to Mr. Tom O'Hearn. Stopping the two peat, the back to back. Thank Christ, because I probably would have quit the league if Tom went back to back rookie season and sophomore season. Finishing off 10-4 in second place. Still a congratulations. Um, well deserved. Team with the most total points scored. Again, not a surprise. Rob taking that one this year too, with a total of 2,402.6 points. You can see that 1971 of those were scored in the regular season, and then 400 and almost 31 points in the postseason as well. And again, that's not including a bye week that he had, obviously. So, or that is, I should say, that is including the bye week, but he didn't have a matchup, so technically, whatever score he put up didn't matter. Um, Still nothing to scoff at. Team with the most total points allowed. This is a good one. Chris taking home this one with 2,241 total points allowed, which, if we go back to the previous slide, that's obviously more than. Wait, is that more than what Rob scored? 2241? Okay, no, it's not. It's just under what Rob scored in total. But still, 1798 allowed in the regular season and 443 in the postseason. Absolutely. Team with the highest point differential, again, Mr. Robert Wash, coming in with a plus 672.32 points, which, again, will be referenced in a later slide, but I'll just say that's actually the highest point differential in the league history so far. Team with the team with the lowest point differential. Hey, he's commissioner. Don't make him angry. Uh, Matt Morgan, Dave's fat pussy, coming in with a negative 351 points. Kind of seemed like Matt gave up about halfway, maybe even sooner than halfway through the season, and definitely made some some questionable decisions. Um, yeah, team with the highest average points per game. Again, Rob. I promise you, the rest of this isn't going to be just Rob's name over and over. But beginning, there's at the beginning, there's quite a few. 141.3 points per game, which is definitely impressive. Again, that's going to be the highest in league history for sure. Granted, this obviously was the first season that we did PPR, so point totals and points allowed and everything are obviously going to be increased this year over previous seasons. But again, nothing uh, to shake a stick at. Is that the saying? I don't know. Team with the lowest points per game, again, Mr. Matt Morgan, averaging less than 100 points per game. Again, like I said, some questionable decisions, maybe some giving up on the team, leaving some injured players in, some empty spots. Uh, yeah. Sean, even after this current season that we have, Sean still has the record for most games lost, most matchups lost. So at least Matt doesn't have that title. At least Matt has a league title. So team with the highest score in 1 week, Rob Wash coming in with a 213.28. I was super close to this one later on in the season with a 206. There were some other really high ones, like 180s, I believe. There was even a matchup between Rob and Tom. I know we've talked about that week a lot, which was a super, super high matchup, which was their first week playing against each other too, because they didn't play each other at all last season. So it was definitely highly anticipated. And yeah, it was a huge scoring game. Probably the most. That would have been an interesting stat to look up, but I didn't look at the highest scoring matchup of the season. Yeah, yeah. All right, next one. Got to go with the opposite again. Team with the lowest score in 1 week was Mr. Zach, coming in with a 48.5 points. Um, Lowest we've seen in a few years, I do believe, but it's still not the lowest of all time, which is still held by Matt Tishy with, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I believe it's 28 or 29 points from a couple seasons ago. Team with the lowest scoring win in a matchup goes to myself, Team Power Stash. Week 9, playing Matt Morgan, only scored 83.26 points, but it was just enough to edge out Matt at 70.9. Closest matchup goes to Dan and Rookie Plot, who is obviously now Dave, unfortunately. Um, shame indeed, but very close matchup. Don't mind Monica in the background. Week 7 with a 1.6 point differential. Again, not the closest of all time. Actually, I think it was last season. We had a 0.02 point differential in a matchup, and I think it was Dan and Zach, if I remember correctly. Don't know if that one will ever be beat, but this was definitely the closest of the season. Biggest blowout goes to myself versus Tishy in week 14. This was that one that I was talking about, the second highest scoring of the year, a 206.02 to 111. So he's like we said, right? This is a 318 almost uh, total scoring week. Team with the highest scoring player in 1 week. This one goes to myself again. Week 16, which when it unfortunately didn't matter, but Jamar Chase putting up a whopping 55.6 points. What was it? 3 touchdowns and 254 yards, something like that. Um, yeah, just a monstrous performance by him. Team with the longest losing streak. One of my favorites up here for sure. Matt Morgan putting up a 10-game losing streak between weeks 5 and 15. Um, like we said, I think that was around the time when he started to give up for sure. Um, he did put up a win in the playoffs in week 16. Obviously, we can see there. I don't even know if I'm trying to remember what it was, but I don't off the top of my head. But he put up a reasonable win too. It wasn't just like someone else didn't set their lineup and only scored 60 points. It was decent. And the inverse again, team with the longest winning streak, Mr. Rob Wash, technically went on an 8-game winning streak, even with only 2 losses. His second loss came week 7. So weeks 9 through, or I'm sorry, week 8. So weeks 9 through 17 was 8 wins in a row. Obviously, week 15 was a bye for him since he was the number 1 seed. So that is not included as a win. Um, but yeah, he still won technically 8 matchups in a row, we'll say. Exactly. There you go. So, team with the most, speaking of losses, team with the most losses while was scoring 120 plus points goes to Chris. Again, this is something that we makes sense with Chris allowing the most points. He definitely had a pretty high points for season, a pretty decently high scoring season. Unfortunately, had some pretty bad luck this year with opponents scoring incredibly high against him. So 7 total, 120 point plus scored losses. So you can see the weeks down there at the bottom when he scored over 120 points, but his opponents still scored more than him. So bad luck award to Chris for sure. Highest performing player in a season goes to Matt Tishy, who was the owner of Cooper Cup, who had both the highest total scoring points in our league. Obviously, every league's scores can score differently, but in our league, he put up almost 413 points and averaged almost 26 points per game, which is just absolutely insane. Just consistent performance from him, and definitely a great draft pick overall. I don't either. I would assume I, I was gonna say I was gonna assume second round, but if it was later than that, then hell of a value there because those are first round draft pick numbers. Team with the biggest player letdown goes to Rob. Kind of in a week where it didn't really matter. Week 14, he had already secured a playoff spot, and it didn't really matter. I know he was kind of talking about joking between starting Lamar Jackson and Matt Stafford, and started Lamar anyway, and only scored 1.18 points when he was projected to get 22.2. And that was an injury, wasn't it? Didn't he leave? Wasn't that the week when he left early? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so a 20 over a 21 point difference in that one, but obviously it didn't matter too much to him. All right, positive but negative goes to Dan Beckley, the Homeless Crash Dummies. Finished in 4th place overall, but still had a negative, almost 130 point differential. And you can see at the bottom there, all the teams that finished in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th place all had positive point differentials. So even the team that finished just behind him, which was me in 5th place, had a positive point differential. So he made it into the playoffs and got some wins when he needed to, but overall season performance was technically negative. How did you finish last, Mr. Zach Rapay? I don't quite understand this, but Zach technically finished 10th in the league this year when he finished at a 6-8 record behind Matt Morgan, who finished 9th at 3-11. I'm pretty sure Zach had more points for as well. I don't really understand how that scoring worked out, but hey, that's a big middle finger to you, Zach. Deal with it. Total points scored by the greatest running back, Cordero Patterson. This is for you, Dave. 232.4 points. Definitely a pretty decent score to put up for the season. And funny enough, the team who he scored the most points against, oh, look at that, happened to be you, Dave, at 47.2 points. I think that was only over 2 matchups when you faced Chris, who had him for the majority of the season, picked him up. I don't even remember what it was, week 4 or 5, somewhere around there. Not, yeah, early enough. Wasn't drafted for sure. And yeah, Dave, you allowed the most points to him, so congrats to your favorite player. All right, so definitely might be worth screenshotting here. These are technically up on the league history page as well, but these are the were the past season record holders going into this season. So you can see all those there for most wins, win percentage, points for, all that good stuff. And then this is the new season record holders here. What's your favorite one on here, Rick? Yeah, in the regular season, but yeah. Yeah, obviously, as we saw in the slide earlier, that Chris had the most points allowed this season, and I'm pretty sure that was of all time too. Again, switching to PPR definitely upped a lot of the highest, a lot of the averages, things like that. Um, but yeah, Rick still has the most points allowed, allowing just over 2,000 um, this season. Again, you can kind of see the like points per game, like average of Tishy going up from a 94 to a Tom's like 123. Again, Tom's been in it for 2 seasons. Last year, his points for was pretty decent, or a 118 in the regular season. But Tishy for the total, going up 30, almost 30 points. Again, you can see how big of a an advantage that PPR has to stats like that too. Um, and I'm still surprised, honestly, that I finished 500 this season, so I only got 7 wins, but it was still just enough to keep the all time wins record too. And I think my favorite is the all time losses. Like I said earlier, is even a whole season without Sean, he still holds the record for the most all time losses in matchups. Oh yeah. We'll have to keep an eye on it every week next year to see what they're at. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that one. This is just a chart. This one is also available on the league history Google Doc. Um, but this is just a chart of the weekly averages. So the blue line at the bottom is going to be the average score of every team per the week, and then the red line is going to be the highest score of the week. So you can see that peak on week 5 was Rob's highest of the season, and seemingly the largest. I don't know, that second peak in 14 of mine might be the largest differential between the average and the highest. But yeah, just a fun chart to look at. And then these two here, again, the highest scores here on the left, just a radar chart of everyone's highest score in total. See the big dent on the left hand side of Matt. I had to change that the center total, so that it wasn't just hiding in the dead center. I had to put it up to 125. And then the right hand chart, the red dashed line is going to be the average score of pretty much every team for every week of the season. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. I think it's like 118.9 or something like that. And then you can see each person's individual here. Rob's cut off for some reason, but um, obviously he had the highest. But you can see again everyone else's average weekly scores here coming either just above or just below the line. And that's it. That's all I got. Um, yeah, this was super fun to put together. Again, wherever Rick ends up posting this, or wherever it gets posted, I'll put a link to the Google Sheets again, the league history one. I'm gonna post probably a screenshot of the main overview one to Discord, like I did with the other stuff too, just so we can keep those for reference. It's kind of fun to look through. Um, yeah,
Future Adam here again. There's just some ending banter and stuff, and basically Rick thanking me for being so incredible and doing all of this stuff for the league. Just him praising me over and over. So I just cut that out, obviously, since we can't hear him, unfortunately. But it totally happened, and you guys need to know that. So yeah. But yeah, sorry the audio got a little wonky at the end there too. It just kind of desynced a little bit. Definitely gonna try to fix those things in the future. Zoom is just kind of weird sometimes. We try to do it through Discord, and it just didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. But yeah, I'm still gonna share these things in the Discord channel so that everyone can just view them on their own. And yeah, thanks again for watching.